Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Companion to the Companion. This is episode 3, and we will be discussing a pretty fantastic show, 32092. It is from Binghamton, New York, and it's a scorcher. Sam, hello. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Ian. I'm very good, and I was definitely better after listening to this. The Broome County Forum. It only 2 shows there, this one and then one later in 92. And coming after the last show, this one just felt big.
Yeah.
It felt bigger. The place seats 1,500. It just had a bigger sound. And all around, just wonderful show. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It was, it was just a few days later, but it did have the sound of a band that was a little bit more, I want to say a little bit more polished. They were a little bit more focused. They were a little bit more interested in creating like a complete show that was a statement of purpose, as opposed to the 313, which was also incredible in its own right, but that was a little bit more of a wild ride where they were kind of letting their humor go free a bit. This show in particular stands out to me as a show where they are all shining. They're all just shining. There is like really no weak moments from any band member throughout. Virtually every song in this entire show I would consider to be a version worthy of being representative, which is
this is a real play this for someone who doesn't know the band.
Yeah,
and it's I didn't know we'd be having this, episode 3, out of 100, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I'd be reaching this point now, but I really enjoy going through the journey chronologically this way.
Yeah.
And I kind of am envisioning in my mind someone who's doing it with us, having never heard the band.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like after the first 2, when you hit this show, this would just feel so good. And it's the performances of the songs are clean and crisp, and that there's such playfulness, and there's a toying. I think when they're playing really well as a band, they toy with the composition. It doesn't feel like they're trying to get through the composition cleanly. It's that we know this inside and out so well that we can play around.
Right.
And I felt like this show really started to show those chops.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's almost like they're just trying to impress each other. At this point, I don't even know if it was so much that they were counting on the audience knew that everything was so subtly changed. I mean, obviously a lot of people did and a lot of people didn't, but I think it was just 4 guys that were kind of just like, look at what I did. Did you hear what I did right there?
Yeah.
And that's a great feeling. I mean, I think that's it's beautiful and it's so pure. Gosh, we're going to have to stop gushing about this show. It's too much positivity. What can I say that's bad about it?
I mean, the energy is massive. And I think, after the Campus Club last time, which was a smaller club they were growing out of, this show just felt, I think the sound itself felt more expansive. They were playing to a bigger room. And there were a lot of points in Phish's career where they had to go from A to B. They had to, a lot of people talk about 95, 96, where they're kind of moving on to a larger stage and having to fill a bigger room. I felt like from the last show to this one, they really fill this room in a beautiful way. And it's, this episode 2, 3, 4, it's a really short period of time where these shows are all smashed together.
Right.
And it's really cool to juxtapose them all.
Yeah.
And this show has 11 of the same songs as the last show.
Yeah,
so
it's a trip, huh?
It's a really interesting, another juxtaposition to be able to look at the 2 next to each other. And with all the same music, there's so much of the same music, they're still so different.
Well, if they're non-Phish fans or soon-to-be Phish fans taking this journey with us, they're probably thinking, wait, why is that unusual that there's 11 songs in the same show? I mean, if this was 99
a week later,
every other 100 bands, then obviously it would have been 16 out of 16 would be the same songs in the show. So, I mean, I think that's kind of what we're getting into why Phish is kind of unique in that it is kind of like shocking that there is so much overlap. But I do think that there is a certain magic energy that comes with the combination of some of these songs. I have to say, after hearing these 2 shows, the set list is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I forgot my love of some of them. I forgot
Yeah.
what they were like at this time. I mean,
Yeah.
I listened to so much, 94 to 2000 Fish.
Mhm.
So it was this has been a great ride going back. And maybe we bridge a conversation before jumping into the songs that we've had a bunch of times before. The recordings of this show are easy to find and they sound really great.
Yeah.
And I know when we get to the next show, also sound great. The last two shows, easy to find, sound great.
Right.
So is it that this show really stands alone as this signpost of this period? Or is it that this show had widely circulated great sounding tapes, especially early on when people like me were getting cassette tapes and they were, fourth or fifth generation? If it sounded good, you just listened to it more. You could hear the instruments clearly. And at what point are we missing amazing shows just because there aren't good recordings available to us? Kevin Shapiro, please.
Well, my thought on this, just as a rebuttal, is that yes, there are obviously amazing secret shows or jams out there that we haven't heard a lot of. But at this point, I know a lot of people have done the sort of, I've listened to every single show and kind of documented it and brought out jams. And I think they've kind of made their way out of the ether into the popular, the populace for the most part. But I would also say that as far as the shows that we've heard so far go, we've both heard a lot of Fish, most of the Fish, and I can say confidently that it doesn't get any better than this. So
Sure.
are there other shows out there that are just as good, that have like interesting kind of twists and a little extra mustard here and there? Yes, I would think definitely, especially if you were at the show, have a connection to the venue and to the experience. I mean, I'm sure there are jams out there that just people swear by that I can't wait to hear. And one of the reasons why I'm a Fish fan is kind of, I love that there's those gems kind of like hidden in the stones that I can't wait to dig out one day.
Yeah.
But in terms of, how I would rate this show, imagining being there, imagining experiencing and walking out, I can't imagine thinking that this was anything less than as good as it gets.
I'm tingly all the way through. Like, it feels, the energy is palpable. But it's funny because now it seems like, and we touched on this before, there's such a push for the Type 2 jamming. There's such a push for big, long, exploratory. There's none of that in this.
Right.
I mean, that Weekapaw, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting kind of ride, but it stays in the guardrails.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
I would rather see this than a lot of shows that are very jam heavy later.
Yes.
This is just pumping energy, and you can feel it in the crowd. There's moments that are just a pure synergy between the band and audience, and it's wonderful.
There is no denying that, to see a certain musician at a certain point in their career, this is like one of those moments for, I'd say, for the whole band, in terms of them kind of I know it's pre-93, and when you listen to especially August 93, they're a whole nother band. But in terms of just a ripping college band, because by the time they get to 93, you're getting into some really heavy stuff and some really wild psychedelic dissonance and taking you on a trip to space. And like you said, which is amazing that they were doing that a year from this point, or a little over a year from this point.
Yeah.
The band that they became, I mean, wow, what a jump. But to get back to this was the pinnacle of their early sort of psychedelic blues band. And they were just so fucking incredible. I mean, solo after solo of Trey and Page just going, wow, who are these guys? I mean, Trey is playing like a classical pianist over here on a piece of shit keyboard, and he's just making it sound like gold. And he's playing these unique kind of funny lines that are adding such depth and humor, and then at the same time contrasting it with these beautiful, grand, sweeping kind of classical statements. And then Trey, on the other hand, just completely letting loose, like you said, just not even paying attention to playing the composition of the song, just solely focused on finding little ways to shoot out and little ways to mess with the rhythm and to play with the other guys and get them to fall out of their comfort zone to create this new palette of music. And it's so clear. The recording is so great. You can't hear that in later shows. You need to be pretty schooled to be able to extrapolate all that information from how much is going, how many layers there are in those shows. And I think as an early fan, you just like cannot beat this stuff. So you kind of mentioned earlier, like someone starting with 87 and then going to 313. I think if I had my druthers, I'd say start here and then maybe go back after a few shows. Because like when I was it reminds me as I listen to newer jam bands, like Goose and Aqueous and whoever like these new guys are. I try and listen to all of them and I enjoy them for what they are for the most part. But I feel like if I listen to a 20-minute Goose jam or 20-minute Aqueous jam, I get a little lost because I haven't figured the band out yet. And then I put on the studio album and I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like this because I'm still getting to know their songs. And it was the same. Maybe it's just the kind of listener I am, but it was the same thing with Phish, where I really needed to spend some time with their studio albums and with the simpler compositions for my brain to figure out what they were doing. And then I could kind of progress on to the more complicated music. And so I suppose if you're an older fan and you already figured all that stuff out, maybe you could start with the difficult stuff. But I was only in my, early 20s. So I only had a limited exposure to so many styles of music. So I think I kind of went on a journey with Phish in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and in that vein, a somewhat embarrassing story, but I was young. When I first started listening to them, 16 or 17 years old, I used to make mixtapes, just like you and I did when we met, before we even could make mix CDs. And now it's too easy. But used to make mixtapes. And I remember at one point when I was probably 17, before I'd seen them yet, I made a mixtape of all these live shows where I edited all the jams out.
Right.
And I just wanted to listen to the songs because I love the songs so much. And I had some of the albums and I had, I wanted to hear the songs because that's the kind of music I listened to at that point. I'm a kid, I'm 17. I don't quite understand what improvisation is.
Yeah.
And I'd played some music at that point, but didn't really get the bigger picture. And then less than a year later, I was still in high school. So probably 6 months later, maybe that summer after I'd seen them, I made a mix of purely improvisation because I had a quick arc of I love these songs, but now knowing them so well, I'm able to appreciate the improvisation that stems from them.
Right.
I might still have those somewhere. I really wish I did. I have a box of cassette tapes somewhere in my attic. But
yeah, that is a beautiful anomaly that I think actually would be quite appreciated by the Phish community as a whole, just for how humorous it is.
Just how I would have cut all the jams out of, like, these great jams. I just cut them out because I just want to hear this,
Yeah. Well, I think probably there are a lot of Fishwives out there that might be interested in getting a copy of this.
Fishwives, I like it.
Well, I guess we should talk about the show a bit.
Yeah, we'll get in.
Just kind of looking at the set list offhand, was there like one or two songs that you would kind of, I know we've both mentioned that the show as a whole was just great all the way through, so there's no denying that, but was like, can you pick a song from the first set and a song from the second set that just dropped your jaw a bit?
Well, I have a few. Part of why this show I think stands alone better than the last is it's complete.
Yeah.
I thought it didn't drop that fourth quarter energy like the last show did, even with the Fishman snuck in there,
right?
Which can kill the energy. It didn't.
No.
I thought there's just a lot in the first set. Wilson opener's perfect. I thought that Rebo was fantastic.
Yeah. Really
quintessential tension release. The brother with all the alligator pit, orchestra pit jokes are great.
Right.
The glide is dark and nasty. But then a real standout for me is this riff.
Yes.
And I think I always forget how much I love this song until I listen to it. I think the album version is gold and just perfect. And, having seen Phish so much, 96, 7, 8, 9, they botched this song a lot at that point.
Yeah.
Not botched. I mean, that's a little harsh, but it is it's compositional.
Yeah.
And I remember getting into the band and falling in love with this song and having this real vision of just running along New England woods treetops.
Yeah.
It really dances and runs, and you have to play it fast and it has to be precise. And this one really showcases some skill. And especially the second Trey solo is, it's magic. It almost delves into a little bluegrassy section.
Yeah.
I do miss Page's Baby Grand, but it's a stellar riff. Into a great fluff head. And I mean, all the way through, Maze is still new and great, and better than the show before. The same with Mound, I thought was better than the show before. I kept listening to these songs and just noticing a week later that little tick up.
Yes.
I don't know if it was that the room was bigger, that they were just more confident, they'd been playing every night. And then the Antelope, and you and I have discussed this, the last show's Antelope stands alone.
Yes.
But this one smokes.
Yes.
It is great. And just the energy all the way through this set. I don't know. The last show I felt like it was first set heavy. This one is not.
Right.
But this first set is as good as the last one.
I agree.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I completely agree about the riff. I loved the show, but I do remember the first time I heard it, as soon as the riff ended, I was like, just like stopped me in my tracks. I remember exactly where I was on the freeway. I was driving to work, and then this one there's a lot of songs, not a lot, but there's a handful of songs, moments and jams, whatnot, parts in movies even, that every time I watch it, I get the chills. And for me, the chills is like, that's the goal. I mean, maybe sometimes the goal is to go to outer space, but I'm never going to say no to some chills. This riff does it to me every time. And I also agree about the Antelope. If it was not being juxtaposed with 313, I would probably be even more complimentary to it. But yeah, nothing really compares to 313. But this is in terms of like a standard, just like straight up the mountain Antelope, and then a cool, funny sort of rhythmic ending that makes you feel like you saw something a little bit extra special. And a hell of a way to end the set. I always think of like this set. There's a lot of sets where first sets from this era and a little bit later where, if you were in the right state of mind at that show, when the first set ended, you'd be like, all right, let's go. That was a hell of a show. I can't believe that show we just saw. Not even realize that you weren't even halfway through and probably hadn't even seen the best part of the show. That's how good of a band they are, especially then. I mean, yeah. And then from the second set, I really enjoyed the whole Mike's Groove. I love Weekapaw. I think is one of their most beautiful, or not Weekapaw, excuse me. Hydrogen is one of their most beautiful compositions. And whenever they play
do you remember when they could play it?
Yeah, and even just kind of like mix it up a little bit, make it a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to say it was Vegas 97.
Yeah.
That was a moment where I stood there just going, really? Like, I had a great time at that show.
Yeah.
But that was one of those like, oh, it hurt real bad. And, as a band, I've been on stage and been in an uncomfortable position. I get it.
Yeah.
Not in front of, 15,000 people. But that was an awkward moment. And there's those moments when I listen to Hydrogen now and I yearn for the 92, 93 era.
Yes.
Of like, and there's so much of it in the first set and in the second of being so confident and they're on such a mission to prove themselves.
Yeah.
That they just toy with this difficult composition. Whereas later period Phish, there's these points where you're like, when they're going into certain things like Hydrogen, and I'm sure the mic's smoked, you know the Weekapaw is going to be great.
Yeah.
But the Hydrogen, you're like, come on, guys, let's just make it through this one. Let's get through this one.
Yeah.
And listening to this was the opposite of that. It was just gorgeous.
I'd like to add this poetic A-side to that, if I may. I like
Sure.
to think of Hydrogen like a cloud. It's like this beautiful sort of magic carpet cloud that you float on in between the harshness of Mike's and the sort of like funky dance party of Weekapaw. And it's this like moment of respite where you're just like kind of like, and especially when you see it in concert, the lights are all beautiful. And when they play it confidently, you can be on a cloud and feel confident that you're not going to fall through and then crash on the ground. But when we saw them in later years, even on the times, you know, and in 3.0, even on the times where they do play it beautifully, and they have, there have been some great Hydrogens in 3.0, I have to say.
Yeah.
Not too many good mics, not that many great Weekapaws, but there's been a few of each. But there's been some really, I think Trey practiced it and he realized he needed to play it. But still, because of the psychological damage that we endured in the late 90s, you're right. Every time they start it, I feel like I'm going to fall through this cloud. And so it is kind of like a nerve-wracking experience. So you do feel like a little bit of a champion when they make it all the way through and they're like, yes, you did it. It's the same exact thing with Rift. But when they have that confidence, these songs were written to require a sort of fly by the seat of your pants, early 20-year-old energy behind them. And though I still love these songs now, and they can be really wonderful live and all that, it's never going to be the same. And that's okay, because we can go back and we can kind of listen to these versions where the band is like literally taking off like a machine, a rocket.
Well, that's another can of worms.
Yeah.
But maybe the hot take from this is I know starting 97, 98, that period, especially, where was I? In Oregon, in Portland, 98, where that was the tour opener that summer. And they came out and they played a bunch of new songs and everyone was cheering so hard. And Trey just kind of looks out and is like, you guys want another new one? And everyone cheers. He's like, oh, fuck it. I'll play all new ones. This is great. I feel like starting around then, the new material was what was really getting the band off.
Yes.
And I don't know that they wanted to play Mike's Groove anymore. I'm sure when they played it, it was great. They loved it. But new material really was getting the treatment.
Yeah.
And it was getting them excited. And they were a band at a size then where they didn't have to prove so much.
Right.
And so it was about really getting deep into what made them connect and be excited about it. And I don't know that Hydrogen was that for them.
No, definitely
Whereas at
not.
this point,
it was.
it was.
Right.
And you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Weekapaws, so we talk about the headphones, where the little headphones are near the songs in the book. This is the only headphones, is the Weekapaw. Which I understand. It's like this whole jam chart thing where like, oh, to make it on the jam chart. I feel like this Rift should be on a jam chart. But it'll never be because there aren't, that's not how it works.
The jam chart has Brother, Antelope, and Weekapaw.
Good.
Yeah.
The Brother's great.
Yeah.
But I think that it gets lauded because it has the jokey alligator pit stuff.
Right.
I think this Sanity following this has better humor. This is
Yeah.
There were
The
some really
Sanity
good humor
is
moments,
hysterical. Yeah.
I loved it. And to come after the mics that was heavy. Like
Yeah.
there were some heavy parts in that. Beautiful segue into some humor.
Yes.
And I feel like the show hadn't had a ton of humor till then compared to the last show.
Right.
So it was really nice to the levity.
Yes.
Make. Make. Mike. Cactus. Cactile. Gordo. Weirdo. Lace. Kegurumi. Kotorumi. Tofu. Clamato. Laundry. Roots. 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 Rolled away friends.
And then another run of just a lot of songs from the same as the last show, but perfect.
Right.
That Sloth, Mango Cavern. I mean, just perfect 92 Fish.
Yeah, the Cavern had a lot of bounce, like a lot of energy. It's hard to not keep going back to energy, but I mean, it
Yeah.
really is palpable.
And then the Uncle Pen is pure energy. Like, oh my God. I always remember loving listening to, early 70s Dead,
Mhm.
where they'd be playing a bluegrass number.
Yeah.
And Jerry's just ripping solos behind Bob's verses the whole time.
Yeah,
And he's tuned down. He's a little bit in the background. And I feel like this Uncle Pen is that for Trey.
right.
Like behind the vocals, he is just ripping solos all the way through. And
Yeah.
it's so great. And there's just points with audience clapping along, and it's just awesome.
I like a
love
nice
it.
audience clap, especially in like a hoedown song like that.
Yeah, keep it short.
Yeah.
Get in there for 10 to 30 seconds, and we're all good.
And I think like one thing that we haven't really mentioned is just, it is a complete show, we've said, but just all the colors that they're kind of touching upon here, when you kind of like look at the set list and just they're really showing their whole repertoire, like almost like if they were going to be on a TV show and be like, well, let's do everything we can do. Funnily enough, I watched a little bit of the 92 performance of them on MTV. Hanging with MTV.
Yeah.
And they're like the backing house band. And I
Yep.
watched that. And it was like a lot of the same songs. They were just kind of showing clips. And they were doing the same. They were just going crazy with everybody just ignoring them. And it's a very
Such
surreal
goobers,
video.
too.
If you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny. And at the same time, they're having like you're supposed to vote between this Metallica and Megadeth song. They're having like a war off of these two songs and just what people are wearing, and then Fish. And then I want to say they describe the music as like they were psychedelic bluegrass rock band or something, which is, fairly apt, I guess.
Sure.
But all the guys had big smiles. Mike was wearing an absolutely atrocious, like canary yellow outfit. It was amazing. I mean,
He is
quick shout out
such
to Mike.
a master of style now.
Yeah, Mike.
My God, like
you
just
have-
the shoes and sock combo. I understand that as we get silver, and you and I slowly get silver in our lives, we develop a mature style to what we do, but that man is like, I
He's an
remember
inspiration.
Red Rocks 96, the all fluorescent glow in the dark green rolled up pants, rolled up short sleeves,
Yeah.
mop top hairdo like that. This is snazzy Mike these days, looking great.
I have to say though, I loved his style back then. You know, like even back then, he was the one where I was just like, how could you not love this guy for wearing this stuff? You know,
Yeah.
all of them, but especially Mike. And then he kind of just in 3.0 made this transition into being like, just giving us the scar, just amazing, just like so much to
Dapper.
look at.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I really think in a subtle way, he's like one of the reasons that helped my wife Susie like get into Fish more, was just being
Sure.
like, what's Mike wearing at the show? What's Mike doing now? Because
Yeah.
he's such a character. So Mike, I love you.
Yeah, and you connect to each one of them as an individual the more you get to know the band.
Yeah.
And not in a real way, because I have no relationship and never will with any of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like understanding the music on a deep level and then just noticing the subtleties. And I
Right.
think something like with clothing like that, or you can use what they're choosing to wear as a foil for your own projections of
Right.
maybe this person is X, Y, and Z. And I felt that way when I was a certain age, and I connect on an emotional level with that
Right.
purely due to clothing choices. Also, I think there's a lot of times we've both been at shows in a very emotionally heightened state.
Hmm.
So we're really susceptible to the small things. Whereas I don't know that they were choosing those to mold us or to have us go down that path, but we ended up there.
That's a good
But
point.
we both were similar in that.
That's insightful.
So dressing, yes. And then this show ends very strong. Do you want to talk about the hood?
It's a great hood. You know, what I would say about this Reba and this hood, I think they're both incredible. And like, I would definitely like go back and listen to this Harry Hood all the time. But these are
Yeah.
songs that gained power as the band
Yeah.
went on. Like it
Less
would be
patience in
I think
these.
it's hard to argue that like a 92 Reba or a 92 Harry Hood is able to compete with like a 94 or 95, or you know, they just can't compete because they were a different
Yeah.
band. But that being said, they're incredible compositions, and you can hear the sort of intricacies of the compositions more in these early versions, so they do have that going for them. There's less improvisation and whatnot, but I do feel like the Harry Hood builds to an incredibly euphoric build, and I really love it as like an in-between sandwich to the Uncle Pen and then the sort of Fishman that follows with the
Yeah.
Terrapin.
Great
It's like
song
a nice
choices.
juxtaposition. But yeah, I guess I don't have much to say in terms of like the details of the jam. Admittedly, I haven't listened to it in a couple weeks, so I don't have it
Yeah.
like on the fore tip of my brain. But what do you have to say about it?
I agree with both this and the Antelope. I think they're really similar. I think what I wrote down was by the end, Trey's kind of ahead of the band a little.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both of these songs, like you said, they matured in a way that some of their other material didn't mature.
Right.
Like Glide and Mango Song, they're a little more tied to structure.
Yes.
And a lot of these songs matured in a very different way. And I think when you're young and you have the chops that this band, and especially a guitarist that is really pushing both of those jams out in front of everyone,
Right.
when you have that kind of those chops and the energy in the room, it is so easy to get carried away.
Yes.
And it's so easy to just push. And I feel like this Harry Hood can show Trey getting a little ahead of the band and pushing a little too hard.
Right.
I still think it's great.
Yeah.
But it also can highlight the patience later,
Right.
where especially the beginning of the jam, when it's gentle and delicate and it builds very slowly.
Right.
We could relate this to a lot of things in life, that as you get older, you just start to take your time with them a little more and have a little more patience.
Yeah,
So this
caress 'em
does have a
little
little youthful energy.
bit. Yeah.
But it is a good bridge between, that ripping Uncle Pen. And I thought the beginning of the Harry Hood was great.
Yeah.
Composition wise was really unique. And then the Fishman stuff, which the humor of the Terrapin was awesome. All the foreigner jokes. And
Yeah.
the prison joke stuff,
Yeah.
which
You wish.
I've never heard the prison joke. Have you ever heard the prison
No,
joke?
I haven't.
So do you think it's, we're going to be speculative here. Do you think it's just a joke that there is a joke and there actually isn't a joke? Or do you think there is a joke and it's just never told?
No way. A chance you'll never hear the prison joke again. Never. No. Oh, sorry. I'm good at embarrassing myself.
Prison joke.
You're dreaming, man. You're all dreaming.
Prison joke. Prison joke.
Those are both distinct possibilities in the fish world. I don't know how. I don't know how to choose.
I like not knowing more than knowing, but listening to this, I was like, maybe there just isn't a prison joke, and it's just a way to create another layer of inside jokiness that doesn't exist,
Right.
which is funnier than there actually being a joke.
Is there a Joey Arkenstadt?
I mean, we know the answer to that one. But
Okay.
yeah, it's the three fingers. So I'm not sure, but I do love the Terrapin. I thought the reading of it was really great.
Yeah.
And great soloing by all the band again. All the stuff that we hit in the last one, where it's Trey playing drums really changes the feel a lot.
Yes.
And then we get the super language lesson possum again.
Yeah, which was a nice treat, and probably, I think, like you said before, like has something to do with why it made the list as well.
Yeah.
Like I think that kind of in it, people are always trying to designate, does a Makasupa make it a special show? Does it, like everybody's got
Yeah.
their own thing that makes it a special show, and certainly seeing a language lesson, it's a pretty special thing since it was only a few of them.
It's 7 minutes of explaining, too.
Yeah.
It's long. It's a very detailed, very clear, and then they just nail all of them in the solo.
Right.
Like the song is just rife with all the language, and you can hear in the audience them doing it
Right.
and cheering themselves on. The all fall down and everyone turning around and cheering at the back. You can tell they really get into it as an audience,
Right.
and it fires the band up. It's really. I would rather hear just a ripping possum,
Right. Of
but
course.
this is still really great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot with the language and then afterwards. And I think if this was, like we said earlier, if this was the first time you were ever hearing this band, this is a really great thing to keep your attention towards the end of a long set of music.
Right. What you just said about I would rather hear just like a straight awesome possum or whatever, an awesome possum. I think that there's a little gray area to that. And then it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to hear
Sure.
a shredding blues jam, then yes, you want to hear a possum all the way through. If you want to have Fish make you laugh and remind you why they're one of your favorite bands, I think a secret language lesson is a good way to go.
Sure.
So it
Yeah,
just
this
kinda
Terrapin possum, you're cheersing your friend, you're like laughing. The
Yeah.
hard work is done. Your mental
Yeah.
work is done, and now you're just having fun.
That's
So
true.
that
That's true.
makes sense.
And you're right. The second half of the possum, like where they close out the show. I mean, always like a set ender is going to be big, but yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a great ending to the possum. And then
Yeah, it's a lot of victory laps at the end here. Lots of victory laps.
I like victory laps.
Yeah, and straight to almost the same encore as last week.
Right.
And in the Lawn Boy Trey solo, which I'd forgotten how it wasn't always Mike doing the solo.
Right.
And I don't even remember when that changed,
Me neither.
but it's a really nice solo.
Yeah,
It's great.
And I thought I liked this fire a little better than the other one. I mean, they were very
Yeah.
similar. Maybe it was my
I mean,
mood. I don't know.
ripping the roof off the place kind of fire. Like it's big, it's energetic, it's it's Trey showing off.
Yeah.
It's a lot of notes. I wouldn't say it's too many notes, but it's a lot of notes. But I liked it a lot.
Well, I would say, I get asked a lot by people just who are kind of confused about Phish. Like, why is Phish your favorite band? Like, what is so special about them? Their music doesn't sound so hot to me or sound just like everybody else or whatever. And I think something that kind of occurred to me when I was listening to this was that, I think most bands are content to, they're going to write some good songs. They're going to get a good following going. And if they can just if they can record an album, get a record deal, like get out on the road and play some shows, they're content. And I think that most bands are content to play the same set list every night. Actually, would probably be pretty fearful of not doing that. I think that there are obviously a lot of bands that love to improvise. But for the most part in popular music, that's the root. And so that's what we were kind of used to seeing. And I think Phish just was the kind of opposite. And I have talked about this in previous episodes that was discussed in the Tom Marshall podcast about how Trey listened to Yes and thought we could beat that. And I think the idea that you're deciding at a young age with another three guys that we're going to actually attempt to be the best at this thing. We're going to set out a trajectory for ourselves to achieve and be the best at something in a way that nobody else ever has. And they stayed true to that and stay true to it to this day. I think they're still in their own heads competing with themselves. And I think that's what makes them special. Maybe I just nailed it there, is that they decided to compete with themselves instead of competing with the rest of the music business. And that in itself is an incredibly unique thing that manifested itself into a band that has to keep one-upping themselves every time because they set out a precedent with their fans where we expect it and we get disappointed when they don't one-up themselves. So I think in a lot of ways they are doing it for their own pleasure and because they like the reward of attempting to be the best, not in an egotistical way, but just in a way that I think they were aware at a young age that they were just so chock full of ideas and they had so much energy and enthusiasm and the proper backing from their families and their friends to push them into this thing. Anyway, I've kind of got off on a weird tangent here and I'm not necessarily answering my own question, but the reason why I love them so much is because they're doing something that's very different than other bands. And I think that ultimately when people kind of listen to Phish, they don't understand it because they're not doing what other bands do. They're kind of playing these shows like it's weirdly sports-like. And they're both of the teams.
I was in I was in a text loop with some older bandmates yesterday, and they just released the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees for this year, the potentials. Half of them aren't actual rock music. I mean, it was an embarrassing list. Yeah, it's very embarrassing. But every year I think about how Phish is not on it.
Right.
And I got into this headspace of thinking about the fact that the Grateful Dead are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I believe Jerry Garcia as a solo artist is as well.
Yeah.
But the Grateful Dead had radio hits.
Yeah.
The Grateful Dead was this iconic thing. And I feel like Phish never even wanted that.
No.
And I think they flirt with it. And I love the film Bittersweet Motel. I think it's great. But there's some moments in that movie where they're just like, yeah, Trey, you wanted to make this movie about us and we don't understand it. And yeah, we'll kind of humor through this, but how is this making us better at what we do?
Right.
And I think it was always about the game. It wasn't about winning the awards or getting the accolades. And you can go watch when Genesis gets inducted and they do Watcher of the Skies. You're like, this is the best fucking band playing Genesis. It's a much smaller room at that time, but in this little room, crushing this really difficult material confidently and aggressively. And I'm sure people are like, how is this band not in this, these hallowed halls? How do they not have a place here? And I mean, fucking, not to be petty, but Rage Against the Machine and the Foo Fighters are on this list.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
Jesus Christ. The day I got my driver's license, I blasted Rage Against the Machine in my car. I get it. I was 16, but and you know, Tom Morello can be considered this master of whatever, and I get it. But how do you juxtapose this band against either of those bands and consider them close to the same thing?
Well, I think what I was getting at before is that, these bands that want to exist in the music business, they don't know exactly what they want to be. They just want to be
Yeah.
in the music business. Fish knew exactly what they wanted to be and very quickly realized that there was no place for them in the music business, but it was more important for them to be who they wanted to be. And so that's
And
what
they
they
made
did.
their place.
So the Hall of Fame has no idea what it wants to be. And I understand
Yes,
how it
sure.
got in this conundrum. I mean, it's been kind of
Fela
happening
Kuti
over
is
time.
on that list.
And they are very
Come on.
lost right now. They're
So
very
lost.
lost. Yeah.
Fela Kuti next to Rage Against the Machine next to Carole King.
Yeah.
I go on and on. They're sad to watch, the ceremonies.
It's funny because Todd Rundgren's on there, and he's someone that I've just been like wanting to get on there for years. I think he's so long overdue. I love Todd. And he's a lot like Fish in a lot of ways where he did have some hits, but he has like a whole period of crazy half an hour jams with Utopia and has some of
Yeah.
the strangest, like most experimental music I've ever heard on tape.
Great producer too. Did a lot of great work.
Amazing producer. Yeah, it's a crime that he's not in there. But yeah, to like see his name, him and Tina Turner, juxtaposed next to the Foo Fighter, I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Do you understand who Tina Turner is? Like,
And
how
I
does
know
this
she's
have-
already in with Ike and Tina, but isn't that kind of an insult? Like, let her be in there without the wife beater.
Yes, that would, especially in this day and age. Let's do this.
I think they owe it to her.
So, what are you listening to these days? Anything new since we talked?
Yeah.
Do you have time? You finding things? Have you finally gone down the Thundercat road that I'm pushing you so hard down?
No, I need to get back into the Thundercat.
Or the Glands? Have you listened to the Glands yet?
The Glands I really love. What a great album. And you're right, it is totally like classic 2000 indie rock.
It's great. I keep digging and finding other material of theirs. They're great.
Oh, I'll have to check out the other album. Yeah, even Bowie liked it. I think I Can See
Nice.
My House From Here on a mix.
Oh, that song is so fantastic.
Let's see, what else have I been listening to? This Labi Siffre. It's Labissiffre. He's French. I heard a song in this show Lupin on Netflix, and then I got this whole album, and I love the whole album. There's a couple of cheesy songs towards the beginning, but the second half is really, really strong. And the I Got the ... is the name of the song, is the hell of a funk groove, and it's got some nice changes in it. Like, first 2 minutes is cool, and you're like, this is a cool song. And then about 3 minutes in, you're like, damn, now we're going somewhere. And like 4 minutes in, you're like, hell yeah. At least for me. And then I listened to this Vampire Weekend new release, the 4042. Did you check that out?
Yeah,
Sam?
I haven't yet. I saw it though.
I don't know. I'm like a lot of people with Goose, where I hear some stuff and I'm like, I like that section. And then there'll be like 10 minutes of just like them trying to sound like 3.0 Fish, at least to my ears. And, if I'm going to listen to some Trey Wankin, I'd rather just listen to Trey Wankin. I'm not saying they're not talented. They seem to be very talented. I look forward to seeing what their future is. But
yeah, we've had this conversation. I don't know that we've had it on the podcast yet, but we've had it a lot where I get in arguments with people I know who love Fish when I tell them that I don't like jam bands.
Yeah.
I love Fish, but I don't like jam bands. And
Right.
they get very upset with me. And as I try to articulate my argument of why, and that Fish is not, I mean, they call type 1 and type 2 are very different things. So
Yeah.
type 1, you're just riffing on, you're riffing on changes that don't really change too much. And you're oftentimes creating tension release.
Right.
Type 2, you're really free composing and free associating with people that can play music well around you and know each other so well. And it can really reach these beautiful moments.
Right.
I find most modern jam bands, either the song composition is so bad I can't handle it,
Right.
the vocals are so bad I can't handle it, which Fish gets shit on a lot for, but I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
Those men do everything in their powers to sing as well as their bodies can sing.
They took barbershop lessons, for Christ's sakes.
Come on. And 3, the jams are just somewhere between type 1 and type 2 in the worst way possible often. They just
Right.
meander endlessly in these boring... It's why, 2.0 Fish is not my favorite thing.
Right.
Like, some of it's great, but I don't want to wade through 20 minutes of something to get 2 minutes of something good.
Right.
There's other music I can listen to that's immediately awesome, and why am I doing this? And I
Yes.
find so much, I'm not going to name names, but I don't enjoy most of, starting in the 2000s, bands that are classified as jam bands.
Right.
Even though I've been in bands that improvise heavily,
Yes.
we would work really hard not to be a jam band, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think with jam bands, I can acknowledge what's bad, and I also acknowledge what's good. I think, well, I kind of like steered off from the 4042 release, but I did really like it, and I feel like with the with the Goose thing, like there was a middle section where I was just like, ugh, I'm over this. But then miraculously, just all of a sudden, they roped me back in, and then for like the last 7 minutes, I was like, oh, I really, really like this. And then their final sort of like return to the song was done so well that I was just like, wow, it's hard to deny that this band like really does have some talent. They are pretty young. And I love their clothing decisions. I like their mustaches. They seem like funny, nice guys. Goose, keep it up. But
Okay.
I wanted to say about the Disco Biscuits, because I think that they kind of best represent probably what you were getting at. Or, I mean, we're not picking on the Disco Biscuits by any
Yeah.
means. But I've listened to a bit of Disco Biscuits. I love the They Miss the Perfume album. I think as an album, it's fucking incredible. I think it's a great album.
Yeah.
They can really meander live, like painfully so, especially in later years. But we saw this show at the Belly Up Tavern in Solana Beach, California, like North San Diego in '99. And
I was there with you.
dude, like changed me. It's an unbelievable show. And I don't know if you had the same experience as me, but I still listen to that show at least once a year. The second set of it, at least. I listen to the second set once a year. And every time I listen to it, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I witnessed this. So I think with the
Yeah, I didn't have the same. I enjoyed it, but I didn't have the same experience.
Yeah. And I'm sure the fact that I've listened to it every year since then, it's like completely
Yeah.
pounded into my brain now. And it's just like they're like actual compositions.
We saw so many good shows there.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like the Warren Haynes, when Government Mule, when it was Warren Haynes and Alan Woody, and you could just walk up to the stage.
Right.
Medeski, Martin, and Wood there a few times.
And they did that
it-
acoustic
jamming bands.
Beatles cover set before the show.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
I saw. Who else did we see there? The Mother Hips were awesome. I
Yeah.
was there with Chris Bearden. That was really fun. Just saw a lot of great bands there. I really enjoyed that place.
Yeah. Saw Dr. John there. I do want
still kicking? Is it still doing well?
to the Belly Up.
Obviously
Well, it's not
now,
doing
but-
well right now.
But prior to that, it was still doing its thing. It's been a long time for me.
Yeah, it's still doing its thing, but it definitely has a it's kind of a, for our listeners out there, it's kind of a hoity-toity rich white area, so it does have like the problem of people that can afford to pay $25 to just go drink and be loud in front of a band, and it does really suffer from that. But if you can get up front and just kind of be away from it, it's okay. It does have good sound, and you do get great bands in for such a small venue. But I did see a show there a few years ago of this band, Tao and the Get Down Stay Down is the name of the band. And the lead singer, her name is Tao Nguyen, I believe is how you... Nguyen. I'm not sure if the N is silent or not. But watching her... I really like this band, and I do highly recommend them. Watching her was like fucking watching like a magical being. It was like watching Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin or Jerry Garcia. I swear to you, I've seen a lot of artists, and this woman just had something inside of her where I was just like stood in front of her. I'm like, oh my God, you're a fucking from like out of this world. You're like an alien. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I mean, musically, it was a really good show, but it was just like the album for the most part. Like they had branched out a little bit, but as like a front like a female front, not even female, but just as a front man for a band. How do I say this properly without going Me Too sideways here?
Yeah, I don't like front person. A person fronting a band.
As a person fronting a band, she
There we
was
go.
an 11 out of 10. Holy
A
shit.
band leader?
What's that?
A band leader.
A band leader. She is a band inspirer, everything. So I will now follow any artistic venue that she goes into. I will follow her because I was that moved by seeing her. So if you get a chance to see
Awesome.
Talent to Get Stay Down, you want to go for a little dance party, date night, you will not be disappointed.
Huh. Yeah. Also,
Sam didn't see
The-
that coming at all. That was like a surprise left field hit.
I like it. The Wolfpack adjacent neighborhood for me keeps growing. And are you watching Corey Wong's show?
No, I'm not.
Corey
but I
Wong
love
and the
Corey
Wong Notes. So Corey Wong and the Wong Notes.
Yeah.
I think they're 3 episodes in now. They made a YouTube variety show.
Yeah, I saw that. So I because you sent that to me,
It's-
but I didn't know where to watch it.
it's
So it's
been
on YouTube. Okay,
It's
all
all free on YouTube,
Okay,
and
I'll
it's
watch it
been something else.
right.
It's sticky and silly. Corey Wong's just the coolest guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He seems like when we talk about Trey's boundless energy
Uh-huh.
and wanting to collaborate with every single person and play everything, he has that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I don't know how he fell into getting this gig, but they obviously have some money. They're on a soundstage. They put an album out. I think he's put out 4 albums this year.
Mhm.
Jesus, he's just too prolific and keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. And I don't love all of it, but I love his energy. I love the energy, and I love the band he put together for this is just on point.
Yeah.
They are sharp as can be. And each show has a theme. So I recommend.
Okay.
Very
I'm
enjoyable
on
to
it.
watch.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Have we anything else to add?
I don't know. I think I'm okay. I think it's freezing cold and it's getting late.
Yeah, Sam's in Maine and I'm in San Diego, so you can feel sorry for him and not me.
Yeah, lots of snow and lots of cold. We're single digits all week, but
Oof.
when you live in Maine, you kind of you take that.
So, what are your staying warm secrets?
Heaters. Slippers. Slippers are a big win. I wear
Sure.
a hood a lot because I don't have a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
I think that's
I guess I
all
was
of that
thinking like
for the
more
most part.
specifically, like a type of slipper, or
oh no.
is there a brand of clothing that keeps you extra warm?
If they want to pay me to talk about them, yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that in
remote-
future episodes. Then we'll look into it.
Remote car starters. This is something you guys don't need to worry about out there.
Yeah, no,
I start my car 10 minutes before I get in it from inside the house.
That's cool, kinda.
It's a world of difference. Well, you got to get that thing warmed up. You can't just jump in with a cold engine and
Yeah. No, I remember like getting it when I lived in college. Yes, I'm not completely ignorant.
Yes, you are a Colorado man.
Well, Sam, it was a pleasure talking to you as always,
as
and
well.
I can't wait to get into a little West Coast fish next.
Yes, 416 next week. I'm pumped up.
Time. Okay. We'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hello there, friends, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to reach out to Ian and I about anything at all, you can find us at companion2thecompanion@gmail.com.